So this one took a while, mainly because I couldn't find a theater within reasonable driving distance. But I finally did, and I found out the reason why. Wow! Let's just say this isn't exactly a kid's movie. Poor Things is based on a book, and I would call it a close cousin to The Bride of Frankenstein. Willem Dafoe plays a scarred and deformed professor and scientist who specializes in Frankensteinian work. I don't want to say abominations, but yeah. Anyway, this other guy plays his reluctant assistant who was sort of roped into things because he shows admiration for the guy rather than contempt like everyone else. Mark Ruffalo plays this creepy lawyer who takes an interest in our main character, who I haven't gotten to yet. And basically they have a fling, which goes kind of sour. And he ends up being the fool of the whole film, in the best way. And finally, there's Emma Stone, who we see more of than we've ever seen before, and I'll leave it at that. She plays a woman who's been reanimated Frankenstein style, and now has to rediscover life, the good and the bad. And Emma knocks it out of the park. She plays it like an extreme neurodivergent. She's impulsive, blunt, and her emotions are a raw nerve. Sometimes. Other times, she's almost robotic. And honestly, I found her to be so relatable because, while it was dialed up to about a 10 or a 20, that is neurodivergence. Emotional roller coasters, excessive honesty, a bit of impulse control, well, hardly any impulse control. So, I was able to relate to her like that. Until, let's just say it goes a bit, NSFW. Definitely not a kid's movie. But even then, there were some aspects I still found relatable. Not going to say what, that's private. Dafoe and the guy playing the assistant, they worked well off one another. Very similar to Jeffrey Combs and his character's assistant in the first Reanimator movie. Stone and the assistant, they were okay, but most of the chemistry was the self-destructive relationship between Ruffalo and Stone. And, oh boy, poor Ruffalo was not prepared to deal with a neurodivergent of that caliber. Almost, it would take another neurodivergent to properly handle someone like that. Which gets me thinking the assistant might have been a subtle neurodivergent, which might have led to his character being so fascinated with Dafoe's character. The story itself is a roller coaster. We start out getting to know this woman, her finding new things about herself and the world around her, wanting more, taking what she wants, taking who she wants, so to speak. Then Ruffalo shows up. Their romance is extremely bipolar. Then things get really messed up from there, but in a good way. Well, an interesting way. I don't think it'd be called good. Well, good in that it was entertaining, but not good in that it was very self-destructive if anyone tried to do that. But anyway, the rest of the cast, which ranged from entertaining in a civil way to entertaining in a Howard Stern kind of way. But anyway, the whole cast did an amazing job. Honestly, if someone were to use makeup effects to remake the movie Freaks, which was a very good horror flick, by the way, these people should be brought back together and given makeup to play the characters, because they were all freaky in the best way. The music, it was haunting. It was like a funeral dirge detailing a life that came to a tragic end, but had a positive outcome for other people in that person's life. And the sets and locations, they were amazing. They were all stylized parts of the real world. But they look like paintings brought to life. It's almost as if the paintings that were made into portals to other worlds from the Night at the Museum franchise were transplanted to this world. Because they were abstract but structured at the same time. And each place had its own unique personality. It was like watching the fever dreams of a crazy person, but one who knew they were crazy and could direct their dreams. So yeah, the story itself is a bit long, but I was never bored. It was interesting from start to finish, and it took some really interesting twists, and it left me asking a question about the fate of one character mixed with the fate of another character. I won't spoil it here, but let's just say you might be asking yourself, why did so-and-so have to end up like that when they could have ended up like that, considering they were doing that to the other so-and-so? And I'll just leave it at that. I might mention it in the comments later, after this film has been out for the rest of the month, but for now I'll just leave it spoiler free. So yeah, leave the kids at the babysitter's. Watch it as a couple, watch it solo, watch it with a group to snark at. This is a freaky art film worth seeing at least once. I got a feeling that art schools and film schools are going to be using this as a series of talking points from now on. Also, Emma Stone and her fellow cast members deserve all the awards Like, just throw the Oscars at them and leave it at that. Don't even air the Oscars on TV. Just tell people you've given all the Oscars to Emma and her castmates, because they deserve them. This is Mr. J signing out and reminding you, just because the story of Frankenstein has been done to death, brought back to life, and done to death again and again and again. I'm thinking of this coming Valentine's Day, in fact. Doesn't mean that new stories can't be told with the template. Although this is, like I said, closer to Bride of Frankenstein. And also, Emma Stone is awesome. Let's hope she might come back someday for her role as Spider-Gwen.